Hi, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, God, that's one. So good news. All right. We'll just wait 1 or 2 minutes and make sure we've got a few more people. Maybe we'll just wait 1 more minute. How's everybody?
Good.
Good.
Cold.
Yeah, it is cold. Okay. Well, it looks like there's 7 people, including myself, so we could probably just, people can jump in, I guess, when they get online, and we'll, I don't think we're going to get into too much in the next 2 minutes that can't be missed. So thank you again for being here. This is our third meeting, our third meeting. And so today, just a couple of items that I want to go. Can everybody see the screen with the program standards?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I just want to skip down to where we left off in the last meeting, just for old business purposes. We talked about wages, and we decided an appropriate wage for these positions that we covered or were covering in this program would be about $19 an hour, at least as an average. And that may differ considerably depending on what part of the state you're in. But it at least give us a base to work with. And with that, and establishing what a minimum wage would be for an apprentice starting out at $15 an hour. That covers the minimum wage increase that we would be expecting. And it also seems anyone can obviously pay more than that wage. So if that is a decent wage here, say in the west side of Fresno, that makes sense for someone starting out as an apprentice with no experience or very little experience. But maybe in another region that might look more like $20 an hour. But we have to, for the purpose of submitting these program standards and having an actual legitimized program, $15 an hour works for everybody at least. So, and then bumping that up to $16 an hour in the second year of the program. So that's what we discussed last week, and we took a vote on that, and it seems like a great minimum wage scale to work with. So if anyone has any or would like to offer any input on that or feedback, questions. And I have a chat box too, so if you'd rather chat in the box, that's fine too. And so since there's nothing, we're going to move to a small group today, but I know we're running into the holidays. But talking about work training. So this is the section where we determine what the work processes will be. I'm going to stop my video here. We determine what the work processes are going to be, and this really is more based on what your job descriptions would look like, just trying to cover all of the aspects of what that job might appear to be and what kinds of skills are learned and tasks are completed within these occupational titles. So some of these items were taken directly off of another job description. And I just wanted everyone to look through them and let's figure out if there's any gaps that we can fill, or even if there's areas that maybe don't belong. And then what the hours here are, and I suppose we need probably some sort of title to this, hours. Okay. I guess that's what we need. Okay, so the hours, what we're doing here is just trying to determine what is it going to take to master the skills in each of these areas. And so does that look like 1,000 hours? So two things we're trying to accomplish in this short meeting, which is why I've jumped right into it, is that are we getting all of these tasks and learning those skills? Does that take about 1,000 hours to master these skills? So we'll go through each one, and then we'll determine where's there some gaps, and you guys can help fill me in on other areas. And we can add line items. So if we need to, we can add more. This is where I really need your input the most, I think, because you all know what these jobs look like. You're the industry experts. So first we'll go into prepare and maintain employment records related to personnel, such as hiring, termination, leaves, transfers, promotions, payroll and/or sick vacation time, using human resources management system software. And then this doesn't have to look like 1,000 hours. I just put these hours in there because at the end of the day, we have to make sure we total 4,000 hours. So we can break this up in whatever that looks like. Do you feel that one, is all of this covered? Does all of this cover the task? And then two, does it require 1,000 or more or less hours to master these tasks and the skills in those tasks, I want to say. And so anybody can just jump right in and we can have the conversation.
I feel like the keeping of personnel records and the maintaining of it, I don't know if it would take a full 1,000 hours to master. I think that's probably one of the more easier skills to understand and to learn over time compared to the other line items. So I'm not sure what would be appropriate there, but I would say, like, typically when we're training someone new on our team about the personnel files and the process of that, it's probably about a week-long process. And I don't know how many hours that would be, but I just think it definitely should be less than 1,000. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, and since you described it that way, let's read all of these, and then maybe we adjust the hours accordingly. And then also keep in mind, if you see where there's a gap, we can add more items, more on the job training processes. Yeah. Interpret and explain HR policies. I'm reading the second one here. Procedures, laws, standards, or regulations to staff and supervisors. Address EEO, compensation, harassment, and other concerns, complaints, or issues affecting employee relations within the organization. And then the third item, informing employees and job applicants of duties and responsibilities, compensation, benefits, schedules, working conditions, training, or promotional opportunities. And then lastly, recruiting and hiring, recruit and hire to include coordinating job posts, attending hiring events, reviewing resumes, performing reference checks, onboarding, orientations, and processing new hire paperwork. So I do feel like we're probably missing some content here on these jobs. And again, just remember, it's how many hours it takes to master these skills. That's kind of what we're leaning toward. So although a person might adequately be able to perform them, but how long would it take for one of your employees, do you feel, to really master those skills where you really don't have to provide them any supervisor or even just directly supervising that kind of work? At some point, you're gonna feel confident about leading that employee to doing that work on their own with very few questions. And I guess that's what we're trying to get at as far as the hours. So how do we divvy up these hours, or maybe we need to tackle first, what are we missing?
I think we might be missing some performance management.
Okay.
Sorry, I cut someone off. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I was going to say on the second one, it seems like a lot is rolled into that second line, interpret and explain, blah, 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 blah. I mean, compensation could be, maybe it's comp and benefits. They're a separate line item. I don't want to get too nitty gritty, but that's a lot going on there with harassment and everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right. Comp should be taken out of there because equal EEO and complaints and employee relations, those are all similar. But compensation probably could be pulled. I agree with you there. And it needs to be like compensation and benefits.
Okay.
Like you said, I think you're right.
Oh, what did I just do? Oh. So what could this be then? Compensation. Is this what we're talking about? Just taking the compensation out?
Yeah, and put benefits too, but let's see.
Our job description for that says something to the effect of understanding compensation and classification issues with certain like jobs within the organization, so the level and their classification, but also like the administration of benefits, explaining benefits to employees, but our benefits people are like the liaison between the benefit vendors and the employees. So I guess like understanding of benefits and explaining them to employees.
How about in various occupations within the organization? I don't know. Does this kind of, is this working for you? Obviously, this is really where I needed the most help because I'm struggling. So what do you feel like what I've written here? Does cover what you just said in the right term, in the right verbiage?
I would say something to the effect of like classification of compensation or classification and related compensation for various occupations. Because that way it's dealing with not only the classification of a job, but also the compensation, like salary range or pay rate for a particular job in the organization.
Okay. Classification and related compensation and benefits for employees and various for employees, or for, should I just say for various occupations within the organization, or?
Yeah. Benefits is kind of throwing me off in that sentence too.
I agree, but I don't know for sure.
Maybe benefits is
start off with understanding something about.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe gain understanding regarding classification. Yeah.
Okay.
I threw something there for you for performance management in the chat.
Okay, I'm looking. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read this yet. So what about having an item for understanding the role of HR department in the agency? Oh, Lisa. Okay. I got to get a little more into that last one there. Prepare materials and help organize employment. Okay, let me throw this in here for everybody to. There's not really any right way to or wrong way to write these OJTs too. We can write them as competencies. We can write them as just tasks. We can have like subtitles to each section. It's kind of flexible, but as long as we've covered everything, that's sort of where we're trying to get at today. Prepare materials and help organize employee performance reviews. Yeah. Okay, so there's that. And then somebody's got Tamika, facilitate training on various topics, including new hire. Oh, I like that. I'm going to add some of these for you all to read what's coming out in the chat box. Wow. Okay. Let me see. It's coming fast. Thank you for this. Okay, support and recommend. Oh, all right. You all can be reading this maybe while I'm plugging them in, and then we can talk about additional verbiage or clarification. Maybe who's RKS? I feel like I should know this. RKS, I don't know. In the chat says, what about having an item for understanding the role of the HR department in the agency and how it works with various departments across, and how the department and staff work with the public externally. Needs to be an OJT. I agree. Okay, so to understand the specific functions. Okay, understanding the role. I'm going to plug this in, and then maybe this is a good one for the very first, maybe up top, but you guys can let me know if you feel differently. Understanding the role of the HR department within I want to say organization, since some folks are public and some are private, but we could say this, and how it works with the, okay, and the role of HR within the organization agency,
and how, and maybe it collaborates with other departments.
With work with the public as well as internal staff. I don't know. What do you think?
What about the verbiage for that one, just as a suggestion? Would it be easier to say internal and external stakeholders?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, maybe?
I like it. Okay, understanding the role of the HR department within the organization or agency and how the department works with internal and external stakeholders. I like that. How about everybody else? Are we feeling it?
I think the area there would be how to determine the number of hours that takes.
Right.
That might be tough because it's pretty broad.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And you know what's great about these hours too is it's quite flexible. And what I mean by that is if you have an employee in this position and they've got a little like, yeah, we have different types of learners, and some people learn real quick in some areas and then they struggle in others. And you know, for some they're really quick in analytical skill building, but yet maybe they struggle with the technical stuff. So so sometimes the hours aren't going to be exact. It's really just kind of giving giving an idea of what it might take for the, you know, a typical person, but that doesn't mean you have to work within these boundaries too tailored to the hours. For example, if preparing materials and we decide is say, I don't even 100 hours and somebody's, you know, you feel like somebody's mastered that skill in 50, well, you know, maybe they need an additional 100, you know, 50 hours over here, even though we didn't have it set up that way, right? So there's some flexibility within that. What we're trying to gain is making sure that at the end of the day, they've got to 4,000 hours. But we do want to get as close as we can to these hours for what makes sense, right? What seems sensible. But again, knowing that different people come with different backgrounds and experience and different learning styles. So if that makes sense. Let me see if I haven't missed anything here. It seems to me there needs to be an OJT component of understanding HR as a system component. Okay, so we've covered that, I think, in that. So let's see if anybody's, okay, so Katie. Oh, Randy K. Thank you, Randy K. I'm like, who's RK? So excuse me, I'm trying to read some of these, some of our chat box stuff. Okay, our HR staff is also involved in payroll tasks, not sure about other organizations, identify, process, and resolve payroll discrepancies, and auditing employee time cards and compliance. You know, I think it's worth including, we can, in the committee meetings, and as you have apprentices or other organizations have apprentices, we can always, let's see, let's put that here and see what people think of it. We can always adjust as need be if the organization operates a little differently. So you may even have payroll all being farmed out to a payroll company. So if it's not applicable, we just need to blend those hours into another OJT task. And that's okay. We'll just document it as such, right? So if you're on a committee or on this committee and you have an apprentice and you don't have that work to do within that job or job description, then we just document that in meeting minutes in a meeting as to why your apprentice didn't complete those hours. That way, if the DAS audits us, then they can see that we've documented reasons why we did or didn't do things a certain way, or how we outlined it anyway. Okay, so these are all great. So let's touch on this one first, and then I'll get to the next one. Interpret and explain HR policies. Wait, what happened here? I'm gonna have to read these again. Prepare employment records. Oh, here we go. Where did I? Oh, I think it was this one we added from Katie. Identify, process, and resolve payroll discrepancies and auditing employee time cards in compliance with California wage and hour laws. So do we need to mention federal as well? Federal wage and hour? I mean, do you feel like these individuals should know both?
I think it'd definitely be helpful, but obviously California is more stricter and unique.
All right.
You could say in compliance with California and federal.
All right. And we can also put these in a different order if need be, but maybe it's just me that's OCD like that. But I am thinking though to, let's see, to move this one here, only because it sort of kind of falls in line with the first one. We can take all these hours out until we determine what that looks like. Identify, process, and resolve payroll discrepancies. I just want to make sure there's not overlap. Inform employees and job applicants of duties and responsibilities, compensation, benefit schedules. Now, this doesn't overlap with our added compensation item, right?
It kind of does.
Does it?
As well as the next one down kind of overlaps with the third one.
This one overlaps?
Well, that one talks about recruiting and hiring, but then also in the third one talks about preparing, maintaining records such as hiring. So it's almost like the prepare and maintain records such as hiring, that maybe that's broad, and this recruit and hire is specific.
Mm-hmm. And you know what so in some work processes, what I've seen is just like not having necessarily all of this information. It's just maybe 2 or 3 words that kind of, keeping it broad and not so much in the weeds. But I'm not sure what's the right or wrong way to do it with this particular occupational title we're going with, or these titles. I do see what you're saying. I'm just, let's see, I'm trying to think of how to resolve that. Gosh darn it, I don't know why I keep doing that.
Well, I think we need to decide whether or not we want to be broad or if we want to be specific. I think that's kind of where we need to figure out.
So let me put this last one in that I have here in the chat, and then we can talk about how to do that. Let me just throw this last one in from one of our committee members here. Attendance and leave of absence tracking and reporting, HRIS reporting, and serve as a liaison to supervisors for HRIS functions. Okay. And that might be a good one to have at the end, only because it kind of rounds everything off in my mind, but I'm not the expert. So so we could do that. Let's think of how to do that. We might say understanding the role of the HR department. Well, I think the first one actually is pretty good the way it is, but interpret and explain HR policies, procedures, laws, standards, or regulations. Maybe it doesn't need to have all this additional information here. And then this might be prepare and maintain employment records. Maybe we don't need all of this. Recruit and hire. Recruit and hire maybe is all we need there. But yeah, this at least this much does appear to be in the third one. Well, actually,
It could be a little different though, because maintaining a record of something is different than actually processing it. Like for us, when I think of processing new hire paperwork, it's background checks, it's drug tests, it's reference checks if needed. So I feel like that encompasses something a little different than maintaining the records. We do keep records of all that stuff, but it's an actual action as well.
do we need to include that here, what you said about background checks? Or
I think that would be covered more under the recruit and the hire under,
like on part of the onboarding?
I think like when I see processing new hire paperwork, that's what I think of. So I feel like it could fall under that. We don't have to get so specific. Yeah, and it's part of onboarding too. But when I think of paperwork, I think of that.
You do consider that part of the onboarding? Okay.
Yeah.
Do I even need to say performing reference checks then? Would we consider
Probably not.
Okay. I'll take that out. So let's keep going just for the benefit of determining, do we want to shorten these, make them more broad, or identify, process, and resolve payroll discrepancies and auditing employee time cards. You know, I don't see anything wrong with the way that it reads in full, but inform employees and job applicants of duties and responsibilities, compensation, benefits, schedules, working conditions, training, or promotional opportunities. Attendance and leave of absence tracking and reporting. Should this be a separate one? HRIS reporting and serve as a liaison for or maybe just serving as a liaison. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be one or two different tasks here.
Well, that's almost an overlap with the HRIS portion of that with the line number 3, because that says you're preparing and maintaining all these records using an HR system software, which is what an HRIS is. So either you could combine it with that one, but I don't think you could probably separate it from attendance and leave of absence tracking.
So sick vacation time, this is like attendance, no? Should I have just called that attendance?
You could say using HRIS, but I feel like maybe not everyone knows what that stands for, because that's like basically what it is spelled out, human resources information system, but management system is the same thing.
I cover everything, absence tracking and reporting. Okay, attendance. Leave transfers, promote. Oh, we have leaves here. So, okay, yeah, that takes that part out. What about serving as a liaison to supervisors for RHRIS functions? Oh my gosh, HRIS functions. Like it's Monday or something. Should this be a separate one, or do we include it here? Oops. We can just make that. What do you think? I'm not really I don't know. I just don't know what this really means from the person that recommended. I'm just trying to understand what it, like I can't get the visual in my head, I guess. So I'm just making sure I'm not totally off here by not putting it in the same sentence or the same
so
task.
I'll explain a little bit of what that means.
Okay.
I didn't provide it, but I have an idea of what it is. So a lot of times supervisors, department supervisors, do not understand the HRIS systems and what they mean and what they are. So sometimes your coordinator or your HR representative is the liaison between what the HRIS report system says and what the supervisor needs, how they need that information. So that's why they become the liaison, and you just got a response that it's for attendance reports. So the system will push out a report, and the supervisor won't be able to understand that report. So the coordinator is the liaison between that system and the system information and what the supervisor needs.
It sounds to me that in this task, it would be like you need to have expert knowledge of this system. Right, so you're looking at, so I guess where I'm getting at with this is to consider when we get to this hours portion, which we probably need to do here in the next 5 minutes, but I feel like then in this case, if we're looking at them to be an expert in the system, what does those hours look like that it would, you know, so let's make sure we tackle that and just start considering right now what that might look like. Does it take someone, you know, 6 months to really master that system? I've never been in that system, so I would not know. But we'll get back to that. Thank you for that. At least now I know. I don't know until I know. Okay, so informing. Let's get back to where I might have left off here. So, okay, recruiting and hiring to include coordinating job posts, attending events, reviewing resumes, onboarding, orientations, and processing new hire paperwork. Identify, process, and resolve payroll discrepancies and auditing employee time cards in compliance with California and federal wage and hour laws. Inform employees and job applicants of duties and responsibilities, compensation, benefits, schedules, working conditions, training, or promotional opportunities. Did we have any overlap there from above? I'm not sure. I'm thinking that it's, no, these are separate. Okay, these are still two different things. All right, preparing materials and help organize employee performance reviews. I like that. Gain an understanding regarding, oh my goodness, sorry about this. Gain an understanding regarding classification and related compensation for various occupations within the organization. Facilitate training on various topics. This is just going to keep happening. I apologize. Including new hire and orientation. Did we put new hire orientation somewhere else, or am I just? We talked about orientation somewhere, no?
Yeah, on the recruiting line, but
That's.
I feel like you could leave it as facilitate training on various topics, because there's like sexual harassment training that has to be done and various other trainings.
Okay. Track benefit plans, including healthcare, retirement, workers' compensation, etc., and support and recommend employee engagement initiatives. All right, this is a good list. Does anybody have anything else to add, or let me see, somebody did something in chat here, so let's see. Should there be OJT hours for participating in staff meetings, professional development? No, because I think what we're trying to do here in the work processes and on-the-job training is it really relates more to training. So if they're participating in professional development, it's a great question, but does professional development, is that not what all of this already is? And maybe somebody can clarify. And then organizational activities, you know, unless you're learning something from it that pertains to the job. Because it's different than a job description in that this is the actual on-the-job training of skills to master versus maybe just like those extra line items in a job description that where we're trying to ensure that we've got room for an employee to do other additional tasks as needed, right? So I want to stay focused more on what the skills are that they need to master. So unless staff meetings, professional development, and organizational activities are skills that need to be learned, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at there. So Randy K., if you have any other input on that, though, please, you know, continue to open my mind to what the thoughts are here that maybe I'm missing. And then Tamika says, regarding the liaison to HRIS functions for supervisors, it's for attendance reports and tracking. Oh, she's correct for making sure now to navigate. It took our assistant about a month. Okay. Took a month to get full grasp of HRIS capabilities in open enrollment. Oh, open enrollment. Do I need to talk about open enrollment? Or is that already here? Okay. All right. Thanks, Randy K. Okay, so here's our list, unless there's any last additions or if anyone thinks there's overlap we can improve on. If not, maybe we go into the hours. How's everybody feel? Everybody good? Okay, I guess that's a yes. Let's see. So when you talk about a month, so maybe 200 hours perhaps toward this serving as a liaison. Should that be about 200 hours since those HRIS functions or system functions take some time to master? We can start with that and we can make some changes before we finish up. So we'll start with that, and then understanding the role of the HR department and how the department works with internal and external stakeholders. Let's do it this way. Let's figure out how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Divided by 12. So it comes to about 333 hours each. So I guess, I mean, if we were going to divide it up evenly, not that we would do that, but I just want to get a good feel. So understanding the role of the HR department, would you suppose that would take a couple of months? Like maybe we should try like 500 hours to really getting a good understanding? Or do we need to apply something bigger? Like since that's an overarching task, maybe it's, you know, like 800 hours. No comments?
So I think my question would be, are we saying that this task will not be accomplished until they've completed 800 hours, or are they going to spend 800 hours doing this? Because I don't think they're actually going to spend 800 hours, but I think it will take them a few months over that period of time to truly understand the role.
Correct.
So I think that's where we have to really come to an understanding, because we're saying that it's going to take a total of 4,000 hours. But I don't know that it actually, if you were to like map it and calculate it, it would actually be that long. It's just over a period of time. That's how long it'll take.
Right. So just mastering this over that period of time, would you, let's see, how could, yeah, you've got something good there. You know what, let's, we'll just leave that one for right now. We'll get back to it. Because it is sort of an overarching thing, but a lot of this is more just mastering skills and not actual task-driven hours. So interpreting and explaining HR policies, procedures, laws, standards, and regulations to staff and supervisors, and addressing EEO, harassment, and other concerns, complaints, or issues. So in this case, you know, if you really felt confident that the employee knew how to interpret and explain all of this to other employees, can we say 250 hours? Can we say, see how tricky this is? That's why I can't do it on my own.
Yeah, this is hard.
Let's look at for some maybe that might take a little longer, and then we can balance some of it out. Prepare and maintaining employment records. Can't imagine somebody taking a whole lot of time to know how to prepare and maintain records. So this could be like a 40-hour, you know, something someone can learn to do in a week. Recruiting and hiring to include coordinating job posts. So I think they're going to spend a lot of time doing these events and preparing for them and posting jobs. So this may look more like a, you know, for an onboarding as well. Like, is the skill of onboarding, does that take some time? Orientations, new hire paperwork, and we'll just throw that in there for now. How do y'all feel?
Yeah, I feel like that could take up a lot of time. Just learning the ins and outs of all that from start to finish.
Identifying, processing, and resolving payroll discrepancies and auditing employee time cards. This also might be one that might take some time, only because when you're talking about wage and hour laws, I mean, oh my gosh, every time I look at it, I'm like, huh? You know, I have to do it, touch it daily, you know, to really feel competent about it. And that might still take quite some time. And then it always changes. So we'll shoot for that for right now. Informing employees and job applicants of duties and responsibilities, compensation, benefit schedules, working conditions, training, and or promotional opportunities. This could be a lot of phone calls, right? I mean, we've got a lot of time.
I think the largest part of that would just be understanding that for yourself to be able to inform. Because I think once you understand it, you're able to easily inform others. But I think just like mastering all of that information, I don't know if it would take 500 though. Maybe like 300.
All right. Preparing materials and help organize employee performance reviews. Should this say to help organize? To help. Oh, it's fine. I'm sorry, I'm a perfectionist sometimes, so I'm over analyzing things a lot that don't need to be over analyzed. So employee performance reviews, maybe 200 hours over the 2-year period. Would you feel that would be adequate to really knowing this work? We can come back to it too. Gain an understanding regarding classification. What Tamika is saying, it should definitely be the most time because of all these functions will contribute to achieving this. Tamika, were you talking about in this one here, informing employees when you, because I didn't see when you say what should take the most time would be informing employees and job applicants of duties and responsibilities, and I'll wait and see what you say. I'm thinking that's when you might have written that, but I don't know. I wasn't checking the chat box. Gain an understanding regarding classification and related compensation for various occupations within the organization.
That will take a while, I feel like.
Okay, let's throw this in here. Facilitate training on various topics, including new hire orientation. I've read this list so many times in the last 44 minutes that I feel like it's all just saying the same thing. Maybe we'll just say, is 300 sound adequate here?
If it's facilitating the training versus like hosting it yourself, I feel like it could be a little less just to understand what the logistics are to get those things scheduled.
Okay. We'll try this and then we can always adjust it again. Track benefit plans, including healthcare, retirement, and workers' compensation. to try for 250 again and see where we end up. Support and recommend employee engagement initiatives. Oh, I'm looking at Tamika responding, but what do we think of support and recommend employee engagement initiatives? $300, somebody said. Okay, and then the first line item, Tamika's saying, understanding the role of the HR department should have the most time. So let's count up the rest of the time and then we can start making some adjustments here. So give me a second to calculate. Five, 6, 7. Okay, so far we have 3,290 hours. We can balance some of these out. We can.
I feel like the second line item should probably be a little bit more too, because that's a lot of learning and interpreting.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if they've never done any equal employment or EEOC stuff or employee relations, that can be a lot of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have, we've got 1,000, 2,000. Okay, I better not do it that way. I'm not that great at math. So we have 2,100 here. Oh. So 2,200. Okay.
I think we're 100 off. Let me see.
3,200.
Move around.
Oh, I've got it right at 4,000, but let me check one more time. Um, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, my goodness, Karina, you are really bad at math. I should not be. I should have let someone else take the lead on this one. So we've got 2,000 here plus 200. Now where am I at? Okay. 8, 9. So we got another 1,000. So now we're at 3,200. And then, yeah, we're right at 4,000. Does this look adequate? Does everybody feel pretty good about this? And again, you can adjust as you need to for the employee, right? And learning styles, and as well as people that might come in having been in an internship before, and maybe they already, had some of these skills that they'd already learned. So there's always going to be some room for adjustment and flexibility, so long as it all adds up and we've covered everything that we could think of. And then industry, things change all the time too. So, and just as an example, like in manufacturing, when, there's new equipment that comes out, just new technology. And so when things change, after your program is approved, you can always submit for revisions when needed. And that could be the case for wages, for the work training, and even courses. There may be a time when we find that there's a need for training in other areas that need to be put into a classroom setting. So we can make those adjustments after the fact. I added the numbers on Excel, and they're also, thank you, Randy K. So you must, if you're the Excel expert, that might not be the smartest thing to tell me that. We're going to be best friends. Okay. All right, I like it. If everybody else is good, do you want to take a vote on it? Just we got about 10 minutes left on the call, or do we need any more discussion? And so we have 9 people on the call, but there's some people here that are with the DAS that don't vote. So, and I will also not be voting. So if you all want to do the voting buttons, let's see. Nope, I think there was just voting buttons there. So yeah, just vote yes or no on your, okay, thank you, ladies. And then I'll collect those votes and I'll add them to the meeting minutes, and then I'll send everybody the recorded version. I hope that's working for all of you. If it's too much emails or too much information, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure everybody's covered, and then or that has an opportunity to go back and look at the video and hear what we came up with. And if everyone and everybody has the opportunity to email me with comments or feedback later, if something comes to you in the middle of the night like it does to me, feel free to email me and I can we can talk about it or bring it up on the next agenda. All right. Oh, Teresa, thanks for joining us, Teresa. I'm glad you can make it. Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm glad I'm still able to participate.
Yes, I'm so glad you're able to move the work over. So thanks for staying with us. It's really helpful. And I know you've been working with Apprenticeship for a while, so you've got some knowledge of this. So Randy says, very productive call. Thank you everyone for contributing. Yes, thank you. I'm at a conference. Okay, got it. Yes, Tamika, you are a wealth of information, so thank you. Okay, so I guess that's it. We'll just jump off early. Thanks everybody for joining us. And our next meeting, let me look at this agenda here and see what. So our next meeting is on January 14th from 12 to 1. And I'll probably just send a reminder the day before or the morning before. And then also I'll be sending you all the meeting minutes and the YouTube link of this call, hopefully later today. So thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.